You see, my home is where my heart is, so I reach for high.
And hello, Elena.
Hello, PJ. How are you tonight?
Great. It's great. I'm very excited about tonight. And hello to everybody out there in mystical land. What do you call your tribe? What do you call your tribe?
Soul.
Mystical
So that
Soul.
wonderful community, Mystical Soul. Yes, yes, yes. So
Awesome. Yeah. And we see there's a couple people here already. We see Inspiration.
Hi, Maria. Hello,
People.
Inspiration.
We see Maria.
Yeah.
And of course we have people on the panel who are everywhere. And we have I just realized a little before the stream that we have two fiery redheads here tonight.
Two fiery redheads. I don't know. No, they are a blast. I really love them. We're going to have a really good time. We've got a really good topic, and I think people are going to love it. Guys, if you don't know who I am, I'm Elena Chapman. This is our live. I'm a mystic. I do everything psychically. I see source in everything. I see things in vibration more than anything else. Live between two planes, that kind of thing. And I have Hello Soul coming, a book coming out. And, oh, hey, very soon, finally, very soon, the Mystical Muse podcast is going to be coming out. And you don't want to miss that. That's a real, you like it, don't you, PJ? That you've been listening to the podcast a little bit. It's a really good podcast. I don't think there's anything out there like that.
No, yeah. And not only the podcast is great in itself, and when you guys find out some of the guests, it's going to be you're going to love it. Yeah, there's some really interesting guests on there.
Well, anyway, and then my co-host, your co-host, this is PJ Thomas, who has, well, number one, he's a wonderful techie, but he's also very knowledgeable in his own right. And we both met with Bob Proctor in 2014, my very first time there. And I remember, and he helped me get to talk to, he kept leading me to people who I could get to talk to Bob, because I really was determined. And when I get determined, I'm a pain in the butt, basically. But he got me in, and I got to talk to Bob, who then at that moment taught me one of the biggest lessons of my life. And then PJ and I have just been friends ever since, pretty much, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing.
And yeah, we've, there's, you meet these wonderful people in these communities, and you become closer to ones than others. But you and I have been very close for 10 years. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And your trajectory has been amazing. I've seen you grow and evolve, professionally. And it's a matter of time. You've been flying under the radar, young lady.
I know it. Not by choice. But that's where I've been flying. Anyway, yeah.
Just before I introduce our lovely guests, do you have can you tell us what's coming up soon?
What's coming up soon?
What's coming up soon with your organization?
Oh my gosh, we've got area coordinators. If you guys live in New York, anybody lives in New York, so far I know people who live in Chicago and Georgia. But if you also live in New York, we got area coordinators now. You can now be in groups of communities. And I'll tell you, there is always something happen on the website. We've got this is a preview of Chats to Elena, where you get a video, you get to hear me talk about a subject, and then you get to be on with me asking me the questions, which is kind of nice, because time, I don't usually open myself up for that. But the questions are very good, and people get so involved, and you learn and you grow so fast. And I do that 2 times a month with people. And that's a little subscription, not very much money either. And that's Chats with Elena. But we've got so much between the new podcast that we've got, I don't know. I think those are the newest things coming up. Am I missing something, PJ?
Well, there's things that will be coming up soon. They'll be coming up. There's a lot to learn soon. I think we should introduce our two guests who are ladies of YouTube. I should say they are broadcasters of medium of YouTube.
Yeah.
They are both wonderful members of our greater community, and we have intersecting communities of all sorts here on your channel.
Yeah.
And of
Good.
course, I know Arwen and Netter from the more nerdy side of the of our community. And
Sounds nerdy, so be soft on the nerds.
well, we all are. We all are. We all are. Let's start with a young lady who has been with us not that long in our community, and she has blossomed and started her channel, and she is a joy to have on any panel. You can see her often on Mornings with Loki, introducing our friend Arwen Avalon. Welcome, Arwen.
Hey,
Yay!
y'all, spiritual nerd checking in.
That's good. Hey, welcome.
Thank you. I'm just delighted to be here. This is going to be great.
It's going to be fun. Do you want to tell anybody about yourself a little bit that we didn't cover?
Oh, wow.
And tell us what's coming up. What's coming up on your channel?
Okay, what's coming up on chat? Okay, well, tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, I do a stream every other Thursday with Darth Arlena called Arwena Activated. And it's where we've started getting a little more socio-political in our subjects.
Wow.
But normally we do a show on Wednesdays. We weren't able to do it tonight, and we had something going on, but it worked out perfect. Called Sugar and Spice, which we just talk about anything and everything, nothing, which is whatever strikes our fancy. And then lately I haven't been able to, but I do try and stream a solo show, which on my channel, which basically covers anywhere between pop culture, spirituality, and mental health.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I like
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
That's
in the
great.
perfect place.
Oh, I am. I absolutely am. And I kind of, I'm the thing about me is I'm unfiltered. There are some things private in my life that I do not share, but any of my past experiences dealing with grief, dealing with helplessness, dealing with joy, dealing with whatever the subject, I am more than open to talk about.
Yeah.
And help people kind of. And one thing about me though is my spirituality and my brand of living, it is not saccharine, which is surprising because I come across as, very rainbows and unicorns, but I deal with shadow and light. No BS spirituality for me.
No BS. No
BS spirituality.
I know. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It's not.
No, it's not. No, of course not. Nothing is. You got to have that polar opposite, right?
You do. If you're wanting to, if you're going through that tunnel and you want to reach that light on the other side, you may have to wade through some sludge to get there.
Away with that sludge. Isn't that true? I know.
Yeah.
But like I always say, once you do, it's like a flower opens. You know what I mean? It's just you got to release some of those closing petals. That's all.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Flowerier than you do.
That's a good way to put it. I like it. Yeah.
I like sludge. So who's our other person too?
And let me just say before we introduce
sorry.
Netter, I'm sorry. And before we introduce Netter, the Arwen's channel is down below in the description, and please go ahead and subscribe to Arwen so you don't miss all that she has coming up on her channel. And like she said, she talks about mental health and spirituality. If you are interested at all in Elena's material, I think that Arwen's some of Arwen's streams will be a good fit for you too. And before we introduce Netter, her better half, I think Netter is maybe Troy's better half, is here. Hello, Mr. Pacelli. Good to see you.
Hey, Troy.
And so we have here a a very valued member of this community who we're going to introduce now. She is a pillar of I think she has been very important to our little corner of the community. Troy and Netter both together are very people of high integrity who have been leaders in our space for quite a time, and they have been flying under the radar for quite some time, and they're about to blow up right now. So welcome to Netter from Netter's Network. Hello, Netter.
Hello. How you doing, PJ, Alina, and Arwen?
Better.
Hello. Hey, welcome.
I like how my husband says, I'm the better half of our duo. Yeah, he always says that.
That's so sweet. That is so sweet. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, a lot of people know me on Netter's Network. I've got different things going on every other Saturday. In fact, this Saturday on my channel, I am doing a Saturday Night Rewatch. The movie will be Bells on Their Toes. And it's the sequel to Cheaper by the Dozen, the original Cheaper by the Dozen. And we always have a Cosme link. So if you don't have the DVD, you can still follow along. Just click on that link and we play the movie for you. On the alternate Saturdays, I co-host with Big Al on his channel, Big Al Presents, and he chooses a film to watch. So I'm going actually alphabetically through all of my movies. I have over 1,000 movies. So I'm actually in C's, but we had to back up because I missed 2 of my B's. And but yeah, I'm in my C's now, and it's taken me a while just to get about halfway through the C's because I have, like I said, so many movies. I'm also doing on Thursdays, I started a thing called Thursday Things because every time we would talk about what's happening in the week, no one had anything for Thursdays. So I said, well, I'll do something. So I started doing a segment called Thursday Things. I invite people to come on, talk about themselves. We learn more about you. We talk about everything. We could talk about you. We talk about your channel. Just want to talk about something off topic. That's fine too. We just run with it. We have a lot of fun with it. I'm also security and bouncer on Troy's channel on Friday nights, Friday Night Last Call. Yeah, I do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also putting out videos, which you can check out on my channel. In fact, I think my latest one was my 5-part bathroom reno, so check that out.
Yeah.
But I also do things about, makeup and how-tos and product demonstrations. So, and I've got a bunch of videos I need to edit and get up there. I know I'm way behind on that.
Yeah, good stuff. So, well, I'm so glad you are both on. I think this is going to be so much fun. We're talking about the universal signs and how to recognize them, how to open yourself to them, and what do they mean and how to figure it out, what it means in your life, right?
Nice.
So cool. Isn't this cool? I know. So anyway, have you guys, let's just start it off the bat while people are starting to come on more. I've got to have Arwen back for a drink.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll give her the message. Well, anyway, so all right. So have you guys do you pay attention when you're out there and you just kind of look and watch nature, or when you're out, you see signs, or when things fly in front of you, it's a sign? How do you know you've got a sign coming in from the universe that there are messages for you?
Well, for me, my mom passed away 2 years on my birthday, 2 years ago on my birthday.
Wow.
And it's funny because most people are like, oh, that's so sad. But I actually feel that was actually a special goodbye from my mom to me. She had, I think it was like stage 4 dementia. And she was, according to the doctor, she was supposed to have passed that March. So she held on until my birthday. So from March to December, she held on. And I've always felt that was a special goodbye to me because she did pass on my birthday.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I will smell Chanel No. 5, which was her perfume.
Mm.
I don't wear Chanel. I don't have any in my house, but I'll smell that. Or I'll smell roses, which was her favorite flower. And at one point, middle of winter, there was a wasp in pinging against my window in my bedroom.
Oh,
It's like, this is the middle of winter. There's no wasps around now. It's got to be mom just saying hi and saying, hey, I'm here. Like pay attention to things around you.
yes.
And we do have spirits in our home. I noticed that when we moved in, there was a woman with a child and either a small dog or a large cat that I would see shadows of around the house. And
Really?
once in a while, I would feel her touch my hair. Like how a mother would move the hair off a child's forehead or what have you. I would feel that. When my cat passed, I would feel him jump on the bed next to me and walk up and then curl up behind my knees. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the spirits that are around us because I've felt them, I've heard them, I've smelled them. There was one time I was in my kitchen and I'm just looking out on my kitchen window into my backyard and I heard a rather guttural, excuse me. And I looked around because I thought maybe it was my husband and he just had some frog in his throat. He was in the bedroom, several rooms away. And he's like, no, I was nowhere near the kitchen. So I know that there are spirits around us. There are things around us that we may not fully understand, but they are there. And I do believe that they're trying to give us messages to let us know either a loved one is okay that's passed on, or there's something that you need to be aware of in your life so that you don't get hurt or make a mistake or things like that. So, I really believe in that.
It's funny. My mom passed away about a year and a half ago on, 2 days before her birthday.
Oh, goodness.
So
I'm so
anyway,
sorry for your loss.
she had Alzheimer's also, but she always comes to me in a cardinal. And it's really funny when I'm moving down to Tennessee and the house, I'll have to say how the signs just led me to this house. But to really seal the deal, when I walked outside, there were 12 cardinals just sitting there.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that
That's,
cool?
that is very cool.
That
Yes, it
sealed
is.
the deal
Wow.
right there.
Yes, it is.
I want to read Angela's comment. Hello, Angela. Good to see you. Yes.
Angela.
Most recently, I've been seeing woodpeckers. I've never seen them before
Yeah.
in my life in person. Interesting.
You know what, Angela, do you know what woodpeckers are? New rhythm, new birth. That you're going to have a new rhythm, new revival in love and also prosperity. So it's nice because woodpeckers are all about adventure. So you've got a new rhythm coming up. Isn't that cool, hon? Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And oh yeah. And then yeah. Thank you, Netter. Yeah, she's cool. But anyway, I know I follow these wonderful signals because they come all the time. But what about you, Arwen?
That's a good question because I find for me, particularly lately, I see a lot of my signs through what I call, just like practical soul work, if you will. One of the things I've always gravitated to are crystals and oracle cards.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I will combine them, and it particularly if I'm feeling, kind of lost or befuddled. And let's face it, sometimes they work for me, and sometimes I'm so muddled in my own mind, I got to get out of my mind before I can do that. So go for a walk or something.
Yeah.
But I will.
Cards.
Yeah.
And they answer the state you're in. Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps me kind of pinpoint what exactly I need to focus on, because I have a tendency to like the wind, just everywhere at once. My mind is everywhere. And that kind of helps tone me down, focus it. And then I have they're not built-in signs, but I have through the years, I've worked with several spirit animals, for lack of a better word, if you will.
Yeah.
Crows are one of them. And we have crows all the time here.
Crows, yeah. Crows
and
are
yeah, and I can usually tell when they're just hanging out, eating worms, eating roadkill, doing their thing, versus when they're here to say, okay, something's wrong or something's right, or you're in a transition. I can usually tell the difference between the natural and the supernatural, the spiritual.
That's
in
very
that regard.
big because, not every bird that's flying in the sky is trying to talk to you.
Right. And it's like, wow, that dream you had last night, was that prophecy? Was that inspiration, or was it too much pizza before you went to bed?
I know. That's
You got to learn these.
a bird that's way off in the distance. Is that my sign? Yeah, no.
Right.
Really, if a spirit, animal, insect, any kind of sign will be right in front of you.
It will.
You
It
will
will.
not miss it. And it's and it'll happen 1 or 2 or even sometimes 3 if you don't get the message. Sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes I need a 2x4 to hit me on the head to get it. But they will be right there and they will not stop. And you will just know because it's so consistent. And if they keep coming up in your life even more and more and more, and then they actually are one of your guides. And
Take note of that.
They are there for you, and they'll help you in any whatever you're going through, or to lead into a new path. I mean, it's really interesting. That's one of the way that spirit talks to us and brings the ethereal into our world to help us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed I've had a lion coming up a lot lately for me.
Really?
I've never really thought about. I mean, I think they're beautiful, but I've never really thought about it. But they have been coming up a lot lately, and I won't lie, I've been going through a tough time lately. I really have, and to see that, I'm like, all right, once on a documentary, sure, once a picture in a magazine, okay, but when you keep seeing it over and over and over again, just take a pause, stop, and say, all right, what is this about?
Yeah, and even meditate. When I was going through a really hard time in my life, I remember I meditated, and a female lion, she came into my meditation and said, I will help you through. Mm-hmm. And we're getting some some kind of water or something. But anyway, what was so fascinating is she helped me through. And I remember when it was really tough, I'd hear her just say, lean into me. And I would just lean back into her, and she would give me strength. So if you're going through anything, that female lion has come into your psychic realm as a spirit. You might even see a cat that comes to you that corresponds to that. That's when my Jessie came to me. And she's a little tiger cat it was a feral cat that came into my life at that time. And she's still here. So
good.
Yeah, isn't that cool though? So
yeah, that is.
You have a female lion or a lion that's always showing up. Yeah, I would meditate on it because they have a message for you. Isn't that cool? Yeah. It's really cool when I don't know. I'll share the story. When I was looking for a house, I'm moving from Fort Wayne, and I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. And but I saw this house. And my son is down in Chattanooga. And I thought, well, that might be a really nice place to be. So, but the house caught my attention, but I still wasn't sure. I'm a little Vermonter from, that's where I grew up. So I'm a very northern girl. And I thought, but I don't want to be in all the snow. I don't want the snow. So I'm looking south, but I'm thinking, I don't know this world. But I'll tell you, it was really interesting. The night before I went down to look at houses, I had this dream. And it wasn't a dream of, oh, this is your house, bright shining stars. It was more like a feeling. And I felt this incredible peace. And I felt happiness and just really at peace. And I thought, okay, when I woke up, I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to look for. And I started driving down, and everywhere I was going, it was really funny. I looked up at the sky, and these clouds are pointing. The clouds, I read the sky a lot of times. They're pointing to this where I'm going. And then we went to see one house, which was really cute, and but it wasn't right. And then we went to lunch. When I came out, I had all these turkey vultures, like they were on my car. Guys, if they're on your car, that's a sign. Okay,
that's a sign.
And I know turkey vultures are transformation. Okay. And I'm thinking, now this is interesting. And so then we got to that house, and then the first road was Ferry Road. And I thought,
Oh,
got to be kidding me.
yeah, that to me is
Yeah.
Another sign. And then when I drove up into it, when I walked into the house, that feeling washed over me, that peace. And I thought, and then like I told you, what sealed the deal was all the cardinals, my mom's cardinals. I mean, that is, you are on the right path. Keep going. We are going to lead you. We're going to hit you over the head that you are on the right path until you get there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and a lot of times when we are on our journey, we get that. We just don't open up to it. And we don't know that it's there. And I think if people became more aware of how, and it doesn't always have to be an animal, you know? I mean, how often when I was a kid, every time I had a test, I'd turn on the radio. And if it was a song that I really liked or had a meaning that was, you know, really about attaining your goal or what, I knew my test was going to be great. And if it wasn't, I was going to have to work harder on that test.
That's a good way to, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I have a question for the three of you.
Yeah.
Did you always, I'm going to start with Netter on this one. Did you always feel like, since you were a child, did you always feel that there were signs?
Yeah, I believe so, because it's like I grew up in an old home. My house was old when I grew the house that I grew up in. So I know that I would like feel that there were always things around me, and of course, you know, being a child, I never really understood what they were, but I never felt threatened by them. It's just I felt that there was something there. And of course, I didn't have anyone to explain to me what these things were, that, you know, I kind of would see out of the corner of my eye or feel this presence. No one, you know, could explain that to me. And of course, if I mentioned it to like my mom, my sisters, be like, oh, you're just pretending that you're seeing something or whatever, or, you know, it's your imagination and all that. And it's like, okay, I obviously can't talk to anybody about this, so I'm just not going to mention it because no one would believe me. I'm just a kid, you know. But then, like I said, the house we have currently, I would feel the presence of spirits here. I hear them. I have seen things like things will move. And it's like I'll be looking for something. And it's like, okay, it was here a second ago. Where'd it go? And I'll find it in another room. And it's like, or I'll be looking for something. It's like, okay, I just had it. And then I'll just say out loud, could you please return whatever the item is? I'd appreciate it. And I'll leave the room, I'll come back, you know, a few minutes later, and it's back where it was. You know, so I know that these entities are there. And there was a woman who once spent the night at our house. There were some friends spending the night over because they lived 2 hours away, and we were having a get together. And they're like, well, rather than drive 2 hours back home at like 1 a.m, can we just stay over? I'm like, sure. So one of the girls was very spiritual, and she said, you know, you have spirits in your house and they're very favorable towards you. And I was like, oh, well, that's good to know, you know, because like I said, I'd always feel them. I could see the shadows of them, not necessarily the full shape, but I could tell that one was a woman, probably a young woman, maybe late 20s or so, a girl, maybe about 8 or 9 years old. And then the animal, I couldn't tell if it was a small dog or a large cat that was always with them. And I just always felt peaceful around them.
I wonder if
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh,
We're getting a little bit of feedback. If do you have earbuds you can put in, Netter, maybe? Or I think it's
I'll have to go get them. If you give me just a minute.
Is that okay?
Sure. Give me just a sec.
Thanks.
I'll ask you that question. It is really something. I mean, you know, she's very sensitive, you know, to other beings, and that's a talent in itself. And my house has always been haunted since I was young. You know, it just is, and but not bad. I mean, most of them come and then they go. I have one that's hanging around here. Is not happy that I'm moving. And he'll let me know. He's just not happy. I had a talk with him, and he seems to have calmed down a little bit. He was very happy having me here. And I've cleared the energy here, and I'll tell you, but I do get souls. I had one fun little story that about that. If we're gonna talk about that, I was staying up. PJ, it's your fault.
It's always my fault.
It is. It is. I was. It's not you, Angela. No, it's PJ's fault. He wanted me to go up and meet the Biotic Woman, and so I went up to Arrowhead,
Oh.
and there was this one house that everybody could stay in at Arrowhead. By the way, I love Arrowhead, California, and I met the people who are still friends who run that inn, and I walked in. I was really tired. I'd been speaking all over the place, and then I got there at the evening, and they said, we're going to put you in here and lock you in. There's nobody else staying here. You'll be on the top floor. Now, I didn't freak out. I guess a lot of people would have, but I just was really tired and I just wanted to sleep. So they took me up to the top floor. I felt some things, but I wasn't really concerned about it. And I went to bed. And at like 11:45, I started hearing two women arguing. And I thought, oh my gosh, they must have gotten more guests. I don't even think about it as being ghosts most of the time. And then the second, then I get this, I see about 12 o'clock, I hear a tricycle going down my hall.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, we've got some visitors. And then I went back to bed, and then I hear this clap really loud. And I look, and over sitting in the chair across from my bed is this young man with, guess what? Fiery red hair, guys. Very
Wow.
for this show, I tell you. And he had knickers. He was like in 1920s kind of attire.
Yeah.
You were seeing this, you're saying?
Yeah, he's right
Oh, wow.
there. And he's laughing hysterically. He thinks it's so funny that he woke me up, and he wouldn't leave me alone. And I said, okay, we're going to talk. And I ended up explaining and helping at least the little boy with the tricycle, the father of that little boy, and this guy with the red hair and the freckles who finds life so funny up into the light. I helped them to now go on their journey, right? Because they got a long journey to go. And I left the two women because they were too much involved in their own thing. But when I came down in the morning, my host said, I said, did you have any other guests here? And they said, no. And I said, oh. And she goes, oh, but we're having these Ghostbuster people come. And I didn't have the heart to tell her I sent 3 of them away.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. That's great.
I just said, oh, that's wonderful.
Before we move on to Arwen, I want to ask you a question because
Okay.
yeah, it was kind of my fault that I kind of sent you there.
You did.
But there was a kind of a mindfulness and spiritual meeting that Lindsay was having, right? Lindsay and Karen were having.
Yeah.
And do you think that gathering attracted anything of that, or were they always there?
Oh, no, they were there from the Prohibition.
Okay.
And that house I was in, I would love to say, oh, yes, it's all kumbaya. But it was actually, hi there. Hello.
Hey, Al.
Big Al. I love that. I mean, not the spirit that's mad about you leaving. I mean, I'm not happy about it. I'm not haunting your house, Angela. I'm moving. But anyway, it's from the Prohibition, and that house I was staying in was can I say it online? It was the whorehouse. And he was caught, he fell in love with one of the prostitutes basically, and was running away with her, and he got shot in the back.
Oh.
And that's
okay.
how he ended up in that house. Yeah, I learn their stories sometimes. Yeah, it was a cool story. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a fun story. But
What about you, Arwen? Did you when you were growing up, did you think were you aware of signs, or was that something that matured, or?
It's something that matured, but I think it was born out of the way I kind of view the world, whether I'm up or down, shadow or light. I've always kind of viewed the world through what I call high romance. And when I talk about high romance, I mean the idea that there are things beyond what we can see. There are higher ideas out there. There are higher things out there. We're not just a carbon-based life form.
No.
We're not physical beings. We're spiritual beings trapped in physical bodies. And I kind of vibed with that from a young age, but I didn't really think about the spiritual implication of that until I got older and really started looking and saying, okay, what do I believe about these things? What do I believe about God? What do I believe about UFOs? What do I believe about fairies? What do I believe about spirituality in general? What do I believe about religion? I started asking myself, I hear people having conversations like this all the time, but what do I think?
What do I think? Yeah.
I have to be able to form my own educated opinion on these things, so I started kind of looking and reading and watching and paying attention and just, trying to be in the now as opposed to going here and there and not having any cognizance about it.
Yes.
So it came with time, really. And one thing I started doing not too long ago, and I'm really a hobbyist, is astrology. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I want to believe, but I don't know if I do, but it's fun. But let me tell y'all, the more I read and the more charts I do, the more I'm like, some of the stuff is lining up.
It really does, doesn't it?
It's fascinating to me.
It is fascinating. I do, because it's all based on mathematics. And I think mathematics is kind of the whole universe, correct? And so it's got to have some kind of formula.
Yeah, there's a structure there.
When you understand that, and I love it too, because it does make sense. And it is very powerful. I do love it. And also the numbers. I haven't been much into numerology just because it's not something that interests me. I prefer nature. I love going out. I mean, you can hear spirit and universe and everything.
Yeah.
And so, you'll see me sitting and talking to a tree. There's that lady over there talking to that tree. That's me. And I do that, and you can hear them. And sometimes the guidance you get is incredible. It's just starting to open yourself up to that, which is something I do with people, because it's so important. It's lifting the veil. And life don't you find that the more you go on your journeys and Netta, the more that gosh, these cool spirits you have living with you that just, they just adore you. That's a compliment, my dear. And when you have that kind of thing, doesn't it add magic to your life?
It does. Am I too loud now?
No, you're not.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And thanks for Arwen. I mean, Netter.
The river stopped.
Well, what I did is I have a headset and I have a different microphone, so I want to make sure I wasn't too loud or echoey or anything.
Yeah, thanks. Sounds
Cool.
good. I would love to live at Troy and Netter's house as a ghost. I bet you guys are fun.
I bet you are. Yeah. No, I think it's cool. What I was saying before, do you think it's a family?
I think it might be, because like I said, it's a woman with a child, and I got the impression that there was no male figure there. So maybe he had passed and moved on.
Yeah.
Or he passed somewhere else, and so it's just the woman and the child. And I do get the strong impression it's a mother and child, not like a sister relationship. And so they have the pet, which is either the small dog or large cat. And when my cat was alive, I noticed that he would often like steer up, like he was looking at one of them, and he would also look at something around his level. So it had to be another animal that he was checking out and talking to. And, I'd hear little meow meows, and it's like, okay, you're having a conversation with the ghost animal. It's like, that's kind of cool,
It is very cool. It's really nice. She must love what you're doing to the house, and she loves how you're taking care of it,
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
very, very, very fun. And I just remember all the cool, most spirits, they are just looking for either peace in that realm or they want to move on. And either way, it's their journey. And what they want is what they want. As long as they're not staying out of the light because of fear. And
Well,
that's-
can you please tell mine to leave my bathtub alone and quit turning on my bathtub?
what are they doing?
Something in this house keeps turning on my bathtub, and not only turning on the bathtub, but putting in the plug so it overflows.
Oh,
Really?
That is
That
so
has
not-
happened to me 3 times.
That is not nice.
No, it's
Wow.
not. And I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah.
But nothing
yeah.
weird or scary has happened. It's just I've had that. I've had forks go missing. I
Oh,
spent
so
nearly 6
tricksters.
months with no
They
forks.
they think they're very funny.
No, no. And I have asked them nicely, please stop. Just now the fork problem went away, but the bathtub one happened a few weeks back.
oh
And
gosh.
I'm just like,
No, you
okay, you got my attention.
Yeah, I'll take a look for you if you like. I can do that. I can do that. But it's very they just think they're very funny.
Well,
And they're just trying to get your attention. I don't know why. So yeah,
That's
They
funny.
had
so a
ring
little
that-
too much magic for me in
Yeah.
that
yeah,
regard.
I know. But when you open up to I got so many freaking Snow White stories. But I mean, even in that place in Arrowhead that time, I got up early the next morning and I went up into the mountains because I just didn't want to talk to people. Because I was tired.
I get it.
Moments. I just need time. Yeah, we all need that.
Yeah.
So when I went up into the mountains, they had 3 sequoia trees. I think they're sequoia, and it was in like a little perfect little triangle. So I thought, oh my God, I can meditate, right? This is going to be cool. So I sat down and I meditated. And when I woke up, there was, or when I got out of it, 2 little sparrows were sitting there. And I always find when you meditate in nature, it's like they all know and they'll come to you. It's never failed. They always come to you. And so I looked at him, I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to walk down now. And these 2 little birds, I am not shitting you, started hopping in front of me down the mountain. And
Wow.
they were going down the mountain with me. And then there was this flat rock and in the sun, and me, the sun worshiper, sat down and said, oh yes. And I went on the flat rock. It was a big one. And the birds stopped and they were there. And I said, guys, I'm going to just rest. And I ended up falling asleep. And when I woke, it was like a freaking farm. I had the 2 little birds. I had a fox. I had squirrels. I had everything all around on the ground below my rock.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, wow.
When you open up and they know that there's peace and they know that you're functioning on a higher vibration, it's like everything starts to just flood to you. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's also extremely cool and magical.
Yeah.
Adago Outlaw, welcome.
Adega.
Dr. Adega,
Hey,
hello.
Dega.
Everybody knows you but me. Hi, I'm glad to meet you. Oh, Big Al says, I lived in my grandfather's old room after he passed. I always felt that he was still there, footsteps like he shuffled, feeling I wasn't alone. I think that's beautiful. And he was probably thinking, he was glad you were there because he didn't feel alone too. That's cool. That's really a cool story. I like that one. Yeah. Hiya. Hi.
Thanks for sharing, Big Al. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. that.
that's very special. Yeah. So anyway, what do you do to how do you look for your signs? How do you look for something magical in your life, even, if you want it?
Let me think for a minute. How do I look for something magical?
How do you create the magical in your life?
I was going to say, yeah, sometimes I just have to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it. See, that is a hard question for me because although I have been doing what I call a magical practice, I've been doing a lot of shadow work lately, and that's never fun for me. It's
Not
never
fun.
really fun.
It's not fun for anyone.
Yeah,
That's part of the whole trip, you know?
exactly. And sometimes I just have to get out of the house. I have to get in nature. And it's funny because I'm not one of these people who's like, who like my parents, they have to be out gardening. They have to be one with the soil. They have to be one with the leaves.
Yeah.
I'm prissy. I like my air conditioning. I like my lemonade. But
I like
there's some times when it's like, I need to get away from my everyday mundane space and get out into something that's bigger than I am.
Yes.
And just feel the wind, just feel the grass beneath my feet. Just go, okay, I need to stay still for a moment and I need to quiet myself and I need to just listen because I talk a lot but sometimes I just got to be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes when things will shift and it might be ever so slight, but it will shift. And if I don't nurture that though, that's when I fall into problems. I have to nurture that.
Yes.
I have to pay attention. I have to say, okay, let me follow this rabbit trail. And it's when I don't that I end up falling flat on my tuchus.
That's exactly what I do too. Because things can get really chaotic.
Yeah.
Needless to say. And when Viviana, hey Viviana, when I always take time to I leave. I always have to get out of the house. Even though I have the most peaceful house in the world, I have to go out. That's just my personality. And when I go out and and I get still, it's in the stillness that then I find the magic again. And it's just needed. You need to have that. And it's whether you're sitting. One time it was winter and I went out to one of the parks and I just sat there and I listened. And it was so cool. If you just sit there and you're quiet, you'll start to hear like a syncopated sound. Like I heard the ice cracking. I heard the bird. I heard the little chipmunk chewing. I heard that. And it was like it was a syncopated sound that they were doing. And I called it my little symphony. And it was so peaceful. And
I love that.
So bad. Yeah, it brought me back. And it was special. It was a gift,
And your music background, it might have more significance for you, right? With your
Oh,
music
yeah.
background.
Well, yeah, that's why I call it my little symphony, because I have like 3 degrees in music. So,
nice.
Thank you.
Oh.
I taught for a long time, but on to another chapter, I taught for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cool.
I want to say thank you to Maria. She says my grandmother came to me in a dream to say goodbye, and then a few days later she passed on. Thank you for sharing that, Maria.
That's special. She must have loved you very much because she went psychically right before she passes to let you know. That's really incredible, Maria. That's very special. Yeah.
Maria, I mean, I know this happened not long ago, and Maria's grandmother was over 100 years old. She was
Wow.
She was around for a while, I think.
Look at all these cool things, people. What's Angela? I can't do anything about it. It's not me. I ask for it just for the God to point me in the right direction, put the right people in my life, put me in the right place at the right time. Angela, I think that's a wonderful. If not for me, okay, let me be the light for someone else. I like that.
I do too.
I like that a lot. Yeah. And then Big Al said, I had a dream a couple nights ago. I was talking on the phone with my mom who passed last year. Oh, I'm sorry. In a dream, she had called to check on me, woke up in tears. Oh, Look at, gosh, all these beautiful people that love you guys so much that just are, letting you know in so many ways. I think that is so cool. I love those stories. Those are,
Thank you for sharing, guys.
those are chicken soup of the soul, literally.
And that's amazing. She was 107. That's right. Maria's grandmother.
Wow.
She was 107? Wow, I'm
That's
impressed.
incredible.
That's really cool. Wow, what did she do right?
Right? Yeah, I want to know.
Mhm.
I want the secret to that one, Maria. But Nutter, how do you? I mean, you've got this house that's really cool. You've got, good family and everything. How do you find the sacredness in when you just, because sometimes even all that can be too much. Where do you find the sacredness where you get back into your own magic?
Well, it's funny. It's like if I go looking for my spirits and I tell them, hey, I'd like to see you around more. Can you just show me some little sign that you're here? They
Yeah.
ignore me. It's more like, we'll let you know when we're around.
Wow.
Not right now. Like I
Yeah.
have a light ball sitting on my cocktail table with some other my living room I turned into a library, and we have some mystical things around there. So I've got like one of those balls that you hit it and it changes to 7 different colors over like the course of like 2 or 3 minutes.
I like
And
it.
of course I got my dragons and all that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've said before, it's like just
Interesting.
let one color show. And they're like, nope. But I have also noticed that occasionally there are darker things in the house because that same ball, which is a solid white color, will turn like a darker gray color
Yeah.
and then slowly turn back to white. And it's like, okay, yeah, you need to leave. And I've saged the house before. And according to people who I learned how to sage from, they're like, open the windows, tell it to leave.
Right.
And they have to, they leave through the open window or the open door. So I'll
Right.
tell them, you need to leave. Get out of my house now. You're not welcome.
Right.
And then I can kind of almost feel like a more of a peacefulness in the house.
Yeah.
And when that darkness manages to find its way in, I will feel the house is a little bit more chaotic. So it's like, okay, time to sage, time to open the windows and get them out. Because it's like, nope, you don't belong here.
And
Like,
they're passing through. So they just know that this is not the place for them.
right. I mean, like, and now today we had a weird thing. My husband and I had to go out for an appointment this afternoon. And when we came back, we had ants on our countertop. We've lived here, it's going to be 18 years. We've never had ants in the house ever. And this is leaving food out, whatever. We've never had ants.
No, ants are, yeah. It's really funny. And, even insects that come in are trying to tell you something. But ants are worker bees. They work for the greater good. They are community. They are, so it's saying, pay attention to your community, your family, your people that are close to you. It's working together to build something. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're all about. And sometimes it's really funny. When I first moved into this house, this was my mom's house. 3 people died in this house.
Oh, wow.
And a dog. But
It's a dog.
and the dog. But this is the thing. That's all at peace now. But the first year, the wasps were around my house. And it's so funny. Everybody was like, oh, you got to get rid of them. But you know what? Wasps are there for protection. That when they come, they're protecting your house. They're protecting your energy. And so I leave them. I've never been stung by them. I can walk right by them, but they're here for me. And I think, and so I always kept them, and they're just protection. But Netta, you might try, one thing that I do on like the new moon, or sometimes I'll do it the full moon, but usually the new moon, I'll usually just put salt or baking soda, usually salt, on my front doors, on my doors where they would enter. Spirits just say, I am now encircling this house in beautiful light and none will enter. And just keep that salt there as long as you can. And that will help, because for some reason they will not cross in.
So over the thresholds.
Over the thresholds.
What did you think, Netter, of the ants? What was your impression?
Yeah.
That something weird was going on in the house, because like I said, we've lived here 18 years and never had ants. And the only new food item we've had in the house is we bought a watermelon recently. We never had a watermelon in the house before. And I'm like, were they attracted to the watermelon somehow and came in? But then I had watermelon seeds sitting on a totally different counter. There was none anywhere near it. It's like something's weird here. So just
You
kind
know
of
what? I should show this book. This book right here is an old book that I got when I first started out in my own spiritual journey again. And it's Animal Speaks. It's a pocket guide. I love this little tiny book, and it's by Ted Andrews. And I know you can look things up on Google and stuff, but he was really the first, and he truly was a shaman who spoke to animals. So he really did get the essence, and he's very concise in these. Yeah, and if you're really interested in the signs that come into your life through animals, but I mean, signs come in all sorts of ways. But if you're looking for animals, then this is a wonderful book to have.
I'm
And
gonna
they
have to
also
get that.
insects, and even aquatic life too. You know?
Nice.
Yeah. I can't wait to use it because I know all the ones around me, but when I go down to Chattanooga, there's a whole bunch of new animals
Mm-hmm.
that who knows what's going to come to my door.
Yeah.
It could be very interesting.
It
Peter,
could.
you've been so quiet. What about you?
Me? Well, I was about to say something, actually. I was about to say to everyone out there who's listening now in the chat or who's listening down the replay, because a lot of times we're afraid to say in public when we think something is a sign, right? And if it means something to you, even if it's the most subtle and routine and trivial thing, if it means something to you, then it's a sign for you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
And a
I
lot of
agree.
times, it might even be better not to share that with everybody. It depends on who you're with, right? But it's important not to be discouraged. It really is important not to be discouraged by others.
Right.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are so many, and it really is true. If something's coming to you, and sometimes it's in God, they're giving up their life sometimes to share that message. But I mean, it is for you, and it is whatever is going on in your life and what it means to you. You know, because it's your spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we have to understand that the universe is here to help us, you know? And when you understand that, and if you ask for help, oh my gosh, then be ready because the floodgates open because they will help.
Mhm.
And
For those, sorry.
sorry, go ahead, Netter. Go ahead.
I said, for those who are wondering if there is an afterlife, when my father passed, Angela's comment reminded me of it. My father had just been put in a nursing home, and he had really bad cancer, and so they had put him in a nursing home to take care of him for hospice and all that.
Mhm.
And that evening, he passed away. I got to speak to him when he was admitted, and that evening he passed away. And the nurses had said that his last words were, "Oh, I'm okay now. I see the light. I'm just going to follow that light." And it was like, wow. So he was being taken to the afterlife.
Yeah.
And so, right there, that cemented to me of, is there, isn't there? That tells me right there is an afterlife.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you
Sure.
spend a lot of time in hospitals, you will hear amazing stories
You will.
of not just of people passing away permanently, but of near-death experiences of people coming back, and all kinds of the doctors and nurses have lots of stories to tell.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you talk to nurses who are in hospice, they consistently talk about how they see something leave, and it's just I think we really do have to understand we're a spirit within a body. The energy within us does not die.
Mm-hmm.
And so where does it go, right? And that's the question. It cannot die. So if energy is floating around, what is the purpose? Do we just haunt the earth forever? And I think that's where you have to understand the higher consciousness. And it really is what you believe. If you believe you're going to be punished or you're going to be judged, and you just stay in this right on the earthly plane, that's okay. That's up to you. But really, you're meant to go on and you're meant to live many lives, and you're to evolve the soul, because when you evolve your own soul, you're actually evolving the whole universe. So the
Wow.
growth you do on this planet evolves. It involves all divinity.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I believe in reincarnation so much, but I
That's
had someone once do a reading on me, and she said that I had a past life where I apparently was a Hispanic general, rather overweight, and I died from being shot in battle.
Wow.
Oh my.
And it's like, okay, like, but she couldn't like really like pinpoint like a year or anything like that. So she was kind of indicating that it was like, in like the 1800s or something. But like I said, she wasn't really pinpointing it. So she was being kind of vague. So it's like, okay, is she just saying this, or is this something that actually happened?
Well, she
Mhm.
picked something really obscure to do. So I don't know. I don't know. But it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. You know what I mean? It's up to you. It's your journey. But I mean, I wouldn't worry about it, at all. You just live this life the best. And wherever you choose to go afterwards is up to you. Go up and see your loved ones and be happy forever at more. What about that's worth a lot right there, I think.
Yes, I agree. It is.
It
I'm going
is.
to talk to you in Spanish from now on, Netter.
The only Spanish I know is swear words.
That. Okay, what does that mean?
I want to ask all of you, and I think you get. I mean, by the way, thanks to everybody. Everybody in the chat has been sharing so much, so thank you to
Yeah.
everybody in the chat, and of course Netter and Arwen. I want to ask everybody in the chat, both in the chat and on the panel, what is the most extraordinary? I don't want to say paranormal, but what's the most extraordinary experience that you've had in your life that you might want to share, that might be just particularly out of this world in a certain way? If anybody wants to share, I'm just gonna you guys can just jump in if you want.
I had I'm going to call it a dream because I don't know what else to call it, where I was in bed and something had put its arms around my waist and was trying to lift me up like towards the ceiling of my bedroom, and something else was trying to pull me down and keep me where I was. And it was almost like two different entities were fighting over, for lack of a better phrasing, my soul. And it was very disturbing.
Mhm.
And of course, I woke up in the middle of this, like holding onto my pillow for dear life. Like that was the weight that was going to help keep me down, with the other entity that was trying to, keep me pulled down towards my bed. So it's just a very disturbing experience because my husband can even tell you, it's like, we've been Christians, gosh, for 30 years. And, I was raised Protestant, but we were baptized again about 25, 30 years ago. And we're both spiritual. And so, I firmly believe that there is a heaven and a hell. There are evil spirits as well as good spirits. And, I just really felt at that moment that something evil was trying to take me, out of the light, as it were. And it's like, and there were other entities fighting to keep me in the light. It was
Wow,
very surreal.
Right, it is true.
really?
You know what? That's when you call Archangel. If you call Archangel Michael, say, "I need you, Archangel Michael." I'll say it real fast. He'll come right in and take it away.
Oh, I'll have to remember that.
And because I depend on Archangel Michael, and he is the protector. So yeah, and there are, just like we have, especially we have people that are not so nice. Well, they don't suddenly change because they die. I hate to tell you, we don't become saints all because we die.
That's a good point.
They're gonna be as bad there too. But that's a good story.
That was fascinating. Thank you, Netter,
Very
for sharing that.
Very fascinating. What
Wow.
about you,
Um,
Arwen?
Well, I've had a lot of negative and positive experiences throughout the years, but they you know, they would come and go, and I remember them, but they didn't have the impact of one particular experience. And it was when I heard my husband's voice.
Ah,
This was about 6-7 months after he had died. And I know it was not in, because I've had people say, well, it was in your mind. It wasn't in my mind. I was sitting there, I was watching The Hobbit, I was knitting, I was trying to relax. I wasn't even focusing on anything. And I heard footsteps come down the hall, and I thought it was my son, because my son, his room is right across from my office. So if he goes, you know, in the back to get something from the kitchen or whatever, he comes out his door, I hear him go and I hear him come back and the door closes. So I hear that a lot. The
Right.
footsteps in the hall is usually him when I'm in my office. Well, I heard some footsteps come down the hall, so I didn't look up. I didn't think anything about it. And then clear as a bell, in my doorway, maybe 20 feet from me, I heard, "Hey, baby."
wow.
And I looked up and I fully expected to see my husband there,
Wow.
and he wasn't. And my son was still in his room. So it wasn't my son's footsteps.
Yeah.
And that experience, I will never forget. And I think about that nearly every day. So
Yeah.
that's why I choose that one, because it had the biggest impact on me.
Nice one.
And yeah,
That's
it was
really nice.
hard. I won't lie. It was hard to hear, but I was like, oh, okay. You know, maybe he needed me to hear that at that moment. I don't know,
Maybe.
but I have no doubt that was my husband. That was not my mind. That was my husband.
Wow.
I just had a friend tell me that she heard her husband that had passed that way. And then, yeah, they do that. They just let you know they're okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. It's a cool story too.
My
Yeah.
sister-in-law, about 3 years after my brother passed, saw him outside gardening one day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Clear as a bell. She was like,
say that again, Arwen. I'm sorry.
my oldest brother died about 9 years ago, and he had, you know, they'd been married over 25 years, have grown kids, the whole bit. And they were both very avid gardeners. They like to get out and garden in their yard. Had, you know, beautiful lot that they tinkered in and planted and nurtured. And well, she was at the kitchen, and one day, and we didn't find this out till like 5 years later. And she's like, yeah, I got to share something with you that happened to me. And I wasn't sure if it was my mind or not, but I'm convinced it wasn't. She said she was doing dishes and she looked up, looked out the window. And that was usually out the kitchen window was one of his favorite spaces to garden. She saw him clear as a bell gardening. And she stared at him for a minute. And then she remembered blinking and he was gone.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that gave, and that was before my husband died. So
Wow.
yeah, it was. So it happens.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thanks for sharing, Angela, as
Yeah.
well. She said I'm not sure it's paranormal, but my uncle put my grandmother in a nursing home and basically left her. She passed a few days after Thanksgiving. A few months later, my uncle had a massive heart attack, wrecked his truck, and died.
Karma. No, it's sad. It's sad. That's very something. It's very interesting, though, isn't it? This was our sign to be nice to my mom before she passed.
Never hurts.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Oh, well, my story, I deal with that a lot, but I did have a really interesting thing that kind of shocked my world, because really on everything that has to do with once they pass on to going to the light, to staying here, I've experienced. But the one thing that really kind of shook me, in not a bad way, but just in a, I don't know, it was just so weird to me. It happened last year, and I was coming, or 2 years ago, but I was coming back from Pennsylvania, and I drive, okay? And it was winter, and I let the gas get a little low because I didn't want to get out of the car because it was cold. So,
Mhm.
so I was pretty running on empty. So I stopped at some podunk place, was very quiet on the roads. The roads were not that good. It was turning into evening, so most people were not on the road. So I was the only one that drove into that gas station that was kind of off the beaten track a little. And I am filling it, and this other car pulls in behind me. And it's this guy who gets out, and he has a hood, and he's walking towards me. And so I just watch him out of the corner of my eye, and I say, hello. And then, and he says, hey, do you have any change for gas? And I said, hey, just wait a minute. Let me fill this up, and then I'll talk to you. And I filled up my tank, and then I said, so what's going on? And he told me his story. He had stark blue eyes, ultra thin. And he told me that he had stage 4 cancer and how he had lost his job and he didn't have the insurance and things were just really dire. But he was dying, definitely. And I told him, I said, you don't have to worry. I said, there is a light, and to just walk towards it. And you're going to feel so much happiness, lightness, and unconditional love. I said, just go for it. And I gave him my number. I said, if you have any questions, because he asked for it, and just call me. All right. So fast forward, I drive home. He goes his way. I go mine. I gave him money for gas and everything. And then I go home, and I'm sitting in my living room here, and I'm just kind of watching TikTok or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he shows up in my chair right across from me. He's sitting there. And I look at him, and I recognize him immediately. I've never had that. I've never done that. Someone who passes and comes to visit me from me seeing them that moment. That is a new one. And to see him suddenly there, and I said, hi. And he said, hello. I said, oh, so you have passed. And he said, yes, I have. He says, I'm going to the light, like you said. He said, but I wanted to tell you thank you. And I swear, I just had tears. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I think that shook me more than anything I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Yeah.
Viviana, thank you for sharing. I can relate. I feel my uncle when is with me. My sister saw him. His wife saw him too.
Wow. See, isn't it? Yeah. There's so many. They're just there. They love us. We love them. It's a good thing. But anyway, so, with all of that, I think, God, we were supposed to be talking about universal signs. I think a lot of the signs come from our loved ones, and they also come from the guides and the teachers and what we're supposed to learn. But we are always trying to guess what is right. I think if we just let go, and they know our intention, and if we state our intention, if we want to, we want this to happen, or we want to find that house. We want the love of our life. We want to make lots of money, whatever it is. If we state our intention and just trust, I really do think they will lead the way. And I don't think they will deny us. It's just a matter of time. And what do you guys think about obstacles in your life?
Well, I'm sure I've got tons of those.
Don't we all? I mean, but what do you think about them when they come in? Do you think of them like this, oh my God, here it comes again? Or do you think of it as a growing thing? What do you think about it? How do you deal with obstacles?
Well, I've had lots of obstacles in my life. And when something like that comes before me, it's like, okay, this is something I just need to work through. I need to get past it. And sometimes I can get past it really easy. Other times it's like, okay, it could take months before I'm past it. But then it eventually happens. And it's like, I'll notice that things will be like really, really great. And then they'll start to go down and they'll be not so great for a while. And then they'll go back up and be great again. So there are always highs and lows. And it's like, okay, so I'm in the low part right now. I'll get past this same way I get past everything. And, and then eventually it's like I start seeing the good things again. That obstacle's now gone. And for a good example is when COVID started. My husband and I had worked for the same company and in the same department. We were let go 5 minutes apart from one another.
Oh,
yeah, it was pretty crappy.
That's not right.
Yeah, and my husband actually ended up getting another job that November. So we were let go in like late March of 2021 and or 2020 or 2021, and he got a job that March. So it must have been 2020. I'm sorry, he got a job that November. It took me until the following March to get a job. And during that whole time, it's like I'm throwing my resume out to anybody and their brother, whether I was qualified or not, or rather, I should say overqualified or not,
Yeah.
and just hoping that somebody would want to interview me for, and I was willing to take anything because it's like, I got a mortgage. I need to be able to pay bills. And we
Right.
couldn't just live on Troy's check. And before that, our unemployment. And it turned out that the job I have now, I got the job and was hired. So I started the Monday after my unemployment ended on that Friday. So my unemployment just ended and I started my new job that Monday.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where it's like, this was God's blessing for me. He let my unemployment last us until I got this job, and I was working again, and we were able to make our mortgage payments, no problem. So God saw to that. It was just really a slump because it's like not as much income coming in. So we had to figure out I had to figure out how to be creative with the bill paying. It's like, okay, I can only do this much on this bill and this much on this bill. But they eventually all got paid, and everything ended up working out. And I've been with this company now for 2 years, and I love where I'm at.
That's really cool. That's a cool story.
But
Yeah.
it's like, but you have those things in your life that it's like, if I dwell on it, if I let it overtake me, I'm never going to get past it. So I just keep it in my head. It's like, this is just a temporary slump. I will get past this. I just got to figure out how to get past it.
Yeah.
I remember you guys talking about that when it happened, and I was like, wow, yeah, that was hard. And there was a lot of people in those kind of situations during COVID, right?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
many businesses, small businesses closing because they couldn't afford to stay open because no one was shopping because they didn't have jobs. So they couldn't buy things. And yeah, it was a crazy time. And I'm just glad that that's over now, because like a lot of my friends too, they're bouncing back from that time and they're getting jobs and they're getting that slump gone,
Yeah.
that obstacle is gone.
The obstacle is gone. Yeah, that's cool. What about you? What about you, my dear?
Sometimes for me, I think sometimes obstacles are just the natural course and order of things. Like when my husband got cancer, we
Yeah.
live in a world that has sickness in it.
Does.
Good people are going to get cancer.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a major obstacle for both of us.
Yeah, I bet it was.
And then with his passing, that was an obstacle. But again, that was kind of born out of, living in a human body that, I mean, I don't mean to be grim, but let's face it, we kind of start dying the day we're born.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
because we
that's
age
true.
and we grow and,
We do.
but then there are other obstacles, and I'm kind of in one right now. So that's why I'm like trying to piece this together. There are other obstacles that I sometimes think are put there for us to slow down. Because one of the things that I found for me personally is when I'm confused about something or I'm, in my head or whatever, the best course for me to do is to do nothing,
Mhm.
because I don't want to in haste do the wrong thing when that may not be what I need to do. So
Oh, I totally get
sometimes,
that.
yeah,
Yep.
just slow down and do nothing and wait. And a lot of times, either the obstacle will resolve itself or it will show me how to get around it.
Yeah.
And it's when we're in the thick of that obstacle that we're not seeing clearly.
Right.
Or somehow it's not as impactful as you thought it might be, right?
Yes, exactly.
I find that happens a lot. Like we might think it's huge, and then it's not that huge. And somehow it just like vanished. The immensity vanishes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
totally get that. Because there are times too where, it's like I am trying to do something, and no matter how hard I try to do the thing, I can't for whatever reason. There are just those obstacles there. And it's just like, okay, I need to wait. I can't do this now because something's telling me I need to wait. And then it'll
Yeah.
clear up, and then I can do the thing that I want to do.
you're listening to the sign, because that's a
Yeah.
sign. I know, and it is true. I don't know. I used to always say, "Oh, everything's a lesson," but it is also it sometimes it is just trying to slow us down, and because we are going. Sometimes I think we get so caught up in what we want, that craving, that desire, that what do they call it? That craving, another term for it, that we lose sight of the whole meaning of everything. And I think I was, when with the move and everything that I was doing, I had to slow down too. I Right now I think a lot of people are getting to slow down. We're supposed to stop and think right now. We're
Mhm.
supposed to be still, because I'm hearing a lot of people do a lot of crazy things. I've had people hurt their back. I've had people hurt something else, but something's always going on. And me, I stepped outside to get my big red dog. I have one big red dog, and he was going where he wasn't supposed to. And they were doing mulching, and they divoted the sidewalk. Angela was here helping me. The sidewalk was separate from the ground, and when I turned, my right foot went into that divot, and I fell down hard. And I usually don't fall hard, but man, I landed, and I sprained my leg in two places, and my left leg, and then my left hand, which is not a good combination because you can't leverage anything to get up, by the way.
Right.
But anyway, so that slowed me down. And at first I was like cursing it up to wazoo because I have to pack. But then I thought, I'm not supposed to right at this moment. I am supposed to think, and I'm supposed to just kind of be at peace for a little bit. And do I know why? I don't know why, but I have this great urge to just relax. And I tell you, everything's flowing so much better now that I'm relaxing. And
Yeah.
it did take me killing myself to get there, but yeah.
Sometimes it
So
does.
sometimes life is telling you to put on the brakes, huh?
Oh God, life does. Yeah. Yeah. If you're really not listening, then yeah, they do kind of do the extreme to get you to stop and take an assessment, of what you're doing, and just kind of do if you need to relax, they'll let you know you need to relax. The thing is, most of us don't listen. We just keep plowing ahead.
Yeah.
We get lost. We get
Mhm.
lost in that craving, of wanting to achieve something, whatever it is.
And
Angela
hello, Doc.
says, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Nitter.
Angela says in the chat, that was your sign to slow down and let me do it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Angela was there. Yeah, and I'm sitting there. She goes, "Let me help you up." I thought, I can't move. I
And hello,
cannot
hello to
move.
Dr. Omega. Good to see you, Dr. Omega. Life is supposed to have ups and downs, but I feel like my cycle is bipolar or something. It goes even and smooth for a while, then several bad things happen all at once.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it happen in threes? I'd be very curious.
Well, he says 2 hops forward, 3 hops back.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, life
Mhm.
does do that.
It does.
Yeah. Well, there's this old adage that we can do more in our with our minds than we can do in action.
All right, now I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because
There's an
when
elephant.
Elena brings up obstacles to 4 YouTubers, I thought the 4 of us were going to talk about the YouTube algorithm or something.
Oh, that elephant. Oh my God.
I thought that was that's the first thing that popped into my mind. That damn YouTube
that
algorithm.
Well, everyone in the chat needs to make sure they hit that thumbs up and they need to share out the stream.
Yeah.
Yes, please do.
Please do, because the algorithm for my channel for some reason goes way down, way up. So yeah, if you guys would do that, I would so appreciate it. Get us out of this whatever YouTube prison I'm in. What is that? And don't you think it's funny how we have to play by all these games?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
It's so
We do.
ridiculous. I mean, really, it is. I'm just like, what's new, So I think, but I'll tell you, I think when we do just kind of allow and understand that the obstacles are there, I do think some are for us to learn and become, more, and it's by the decision we choose that's the road we take in the becoming. But I also think that sometimes it's trying to tell us, hey, you need to slow down, or you need to look at another path, and if when you become in tune with that, God, life does go with more ease and flow. You don't fight. I didn't fight this, I thought, okay, I just need to heal. And it's really been the best thing for me. And and in the healing, and I've gotten more done in the healing, in the peace, than I did when I was running around with like a chicken with his head cut off.
That's a good point.
I'm really sorry, Dr. Mega, to hear about I actually had heard about it. Your dog's passing, and I'm glad you didn't lose your job.
I am so sorry. Oh, I think it's so hard when a dog passes. Yeah, I'm sort of with you with that. I've got one that's not doing well, so my heart goes out to you right now. Yeah, I do hope. Well, dogs are spirits too. Everything has a spirit. So yeah, it'll probably be around you. But I do feel for you very much. That's a hard pass. Yeah.
I want to remind everybody to please go ahead and sub to Netter and to Arwen. The link is down below, and I'm also putting it up here in the chat.
That's good.
I want this has been a very nice, fun conversation. Very
I had fun too. I did.
Me too.
Yeah, I'd love to have you again sometime. You guys are cool.
Oh, this is great. This is absolutely great. I'd love. I could geek out over this all day.
Me too. Yeah, and sometimes we got to learn some of those DWIs or DIYs. There we go.
DUIs.
Whatever.
So, Elena's drinking stream will be called DWIs, and we'll all do it from our cars.
Yeah, we can all do it from our cars,
or why you are YouTubing under the influence.
Oh my God! Well, make it worth it if you're going to do it, I guess.
That's right.
Oh my God. But it's been a pleasure to have you both on, and you have helped so much. And I ask people to please subscribe to my channel too, because we have a lot of cool videos that come out that deal with so many things and so many realms, and how to live lighter and happier and connect to your own soul and also to divinity. So I'd love to have you as a subscriber. It'd be so fun. But anyway, and I thank you, PJ, and I thank you guys for being on. And oh my gosh, my heart to just meet you was just a pleasure.
Thank you for having us on. Absolutely. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I want to just reiterate, Netter, what do you have coming up on your channel?
I have this Thursday, my Thursday things, and my guest will be Connie Clary. We'll be talking about her birds and her other hobbies.
Oh, great.
And then on Saturday on my channel, we'll be doing a rewatch of Bells on Their Toes, which is the next movie after what was it? I forgot the name of the other movie.
Oh,
Cheaper by the Dozen. The original Cheaper by the Dozen. This was the sequel to it.
Look at this. Yeah. That'd be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's like if you come by my channel, we will have the Cosme link pinned to the top for anyone who does not own the DVD. They can watch along and have fun with us.
I love
awesome. Those are fun. Those are definitely fun. I go every once in a while when I can.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too. And okay, and yes, and what? Go ahead.
Arwen, go ahead. What do you have coming up?
Tomorrow at 6 Eastern on my channel, p.m. Eastern, is Arwena Activated with Darth Arlena. Let's see. Friday morning, I'll be on Loki's for the weekend review. That's Friday morning. And Saturday evening, I will be on with the BackTube on their channel. Just kind of talking and having a good time, and ringing in the end of the week.
Cool.
So that's it for me for the rest of the week.
Cool. That's very cool. All right. PJ, what about you?
Well, at some point, PJ is plotting his return to Twitter.
Yay.
It's going to happen at some point. I do want the reason I've been taking so long is because I do want to get my 6,000 followers back. So I do want Elon to. So Elon and I are going to talk, and we're going to get it back. We're going to get Twitter back.
Nice.
That's good.
And of course, Inspiration Nation will be doing a lot of stuff in the near future with personal development as well. So, and other cool stuff. So, and Elena, I'm going to give you the final word. Let us know again when anything that is coming up for Mystical Soul.
Oh, Mystical Soul.
And the Mystical
said,
Muse and the Mystical Muse
coming
podcast.
out very soon. Guys, I think you'll love it. If you love this conversation, you're just going to adore Mystical Muse, because everybody who gets on talks about their own spiritual journey. And a lot of times it does go into stuff that their psychic gifts and things like that, because that's part of it. The more you open up that beautiful soul, you'll reach the divinity. And my gosh, how can you not get your beautiful gifts that you always had? They just start to unfold. So it's a really cool, one of the guests is Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God. Now that is a very interesting conversation and a fun one. I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, we've got a lot of wonderful people. And then, and PJ, when am I on with Manorama? Now that's going to be interesting.
Yes, it's going to be interesting. You're going to be on. I think it's going to be in July. It's in July, right?
Everything's in July. Yeah, Manorama. I'd love to let people know when I'm on that, because that's going to be, that's a new territory for little old Amy.
They're going to need a woman on that panel eventually.
Oh boy. Oh boy, we're going to be the brave one to step in there. No, they seem like great guys. They seem so sweet. So yeah, it's going to be so. And like I said, chats with Elena and all that wonderful stuff if you're interested in this. And check out ElenaChapman.com. That's where you're going to find all this wonderful stuff.
Cool.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there, and anybody's not familiar with it, there is something for everyone. So
it really is. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Manorama.
Isn't it Manorama?
It's Manorama. It's Manorama.
Okay, I got it right. I got to revive myself from the DUI. God. Anyway, all right. I know all over YouTube it's going to be, she's proposing doing a DUI. Oh my gosh. Yeah, never right. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for being on. And gosh, we'll do it again sometime. But yeah, have a wonderful evening, and think about just letting go and listening to those signs. It's in letting go you will see them.
Just really quick, Angela's saying something coming up in September. There is something coming up in September.
Is there something coming up in September?
Well, if you have a retreat coming up in September.
Oh, Angela, you sweetheart. Oh my God, I love you. Yes, we have a wonderful retreat, the Unabashedly Me. And what it is a retreat in Chattanooga, Tennessee, surprise, surprise, where you are going to come and you learn how to quantum leap. So those people who want to attain something in their life, they can actually quantum leap and see it, see who they are at that time. Also, it's also becoming more of yourself. I mean, the true you. And when you do that, you start to tap into the soul and hear a little bit of that and open up to divinity, which helps you to see beyond the veil, and you attain your goals even faster, which is lots of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun, but I'll tell you, you will not leave there like you walked in. I guarantee. No one ever does.
Nice.
All right. Great. Well, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Netter and Arwen for being here, and of course for Elena for hosting, and everyone in the chat, everyone who's watching now, and if you're watching on the replay, thank you as well for watching us on the replay. Say you want to say goodbye to Dr. Omega, Viviana, Maria. Maria's you're going to be on with Maria soon on the 28th. I think that's 20th of July, though, right?
Yes. Yeah, Maria and I are going to rock. Awesome. I can't wait.
And I want to say hi to everybody. Just scrolling back, Troy was in here. Dr. Omega, Dr. Adega was in here. Big Al was in here. Everybody who has been in here. Thank you guys.
I love you. Yeah. Yeah.
And to everybody who is watching us without able to comment, and everybody in Facebook land and Twitter land, thank you all.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Stay connected. Yes. Love you. And thank you to our guests. We will do this again. Have
Yes.
a fabulous week. And just keep seeing signs, guys. Keep seeing those signs. Love you all.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm so high, so high. I'm erase the aeroplanes up in the sky. I'm so high, so high. I'm a dreaming, fall asleep on clouds tonight. Yeah, you see